just like backed out right now. I was like, never mind.
You can't.
Why not?
Okay, we're live.
Are we live?
We are live.
Hey guys, how y'all doing? We're waiting on some people to show up here, and we're just giving some time there. So let's see, where am I at? Down in vivo. We're in vivo. I'm trying to get it here on Facebook.
Share.
Is it on there, babe? Let me see. I'm trying to look.
I'm not gonna go live on
my Facebook. How do I get my Facebook to work? Here we go.
Can I look how I look on
Live.
this?
Beep. All right. So, are you live on your side?
No, I'm live on yours. I'm gonna share. We're
Okay.
we're live on your page and live on our house, and I'm gonna share the video to my page right now.
Okay, get me going on this one here. Trying to get it going.
Hey everybody, we see y'all on there.
All right, guys. Let us know if you're live. There you go. Come get me over here on the side here. All right, guys. We're almost starting. We're almost there.
We're working on it.
We got our technician working.
And very expensive.
Technician. What'd you do? How'd you make that happen? Oh, you refreshed it?
Refresh your page. And
Okay.
ta-da.
Oh, there you go. She just refreshed it.
How do you like me now? Okay.
All right, so we're good there.
Yes, and look, we've got 7 people watching.
All right, here we go.
Thank you, Mila.
I'm nervous.
All right.
So remember, like, share, let other people know. We'll be starting here in just a few minutes. Who do we have today? Let's just say that. Who do we have today?
The one and only favorite
The
daughter.
one and only.
All right, guys. So here we are. So this one's a little different from all the ones that we've done. It's different because I have my daughter on with me. My daughter Laila. Say hi, Laila.
Hi.
You're so cute. I got a beautiful daughter. Oh, by the way, so what was it? Saturday or Sunday? They came to ask for her.
Yes.
It was Sunday.
For the dance.
For the dance. So one of the sisters, her son, came to the house, and the little boy asked if they could take Laila to a military ball, right? To a military ball. So it was crazy to have somebody knock at the door and, Mr. Perales, I want to talk to you. And then to ask me, they wanted to take my daughter to a military ball. Well, of course, you know how dads are. Do you smoke? Do you drink? Do you do drugs? You're gonna treat my daughter with respect. You're gonna be nice. All those questions. But it's crazy that when I think back, thinking about it over the weekend, that they come to ask my daughter, if they can take my daughter to a military ball, right? But what was cool was that I was able to be home from prison to be able to see that. Imagine I can. It's hard for me to imagine that I wouldn't be home to see someone ask my daughter to go to a military ball or to a prom, or and there's a lot of dads out there that won't get to experience that. They won't be able to experience their daughter going to a ball, or going to a prom, or going to a 15, a quinceañera, a sweet 16, or homecoming. So I was fortunate that when I came out of prison, I was able to be there for her homecoming. I was able to be there for this dance. So, God is good. God's been good to me where I was able to be out and to spend some time. It's hard being in prison. You're in prison, and all you can think of is your kids. What's going on, how they doing, how they coping. So anyway, so are we ready to start?
Yeah.
Okay, so like I always say that the purpose for this podcast is for for your loved ones that are coming out of prison, not only the ones that are coming out of prison, but we like to educate the families of the loved ones that are coming out of prison. A lot of times, when your loved one's coming out of prison, he might have been, 20, 19, 20, 20, young when he went to prison, and they go do a 10-year or a 15-year bid, and you're thinking they're coming home like they left, real quiet, shy, naive. That's not the way it is. When they come home from prison, they got a lot of issues, PTSD, they got anger, they got a lot of things going on in their life, because when you go to prison, you miss out a lot of things. And sometimes you lose loved ones when you're in prison. I lost my father when I was in prison. So yeah, I came home a little upset and, angry. And there was some, I had some issues when I came home, but thank God that it's been a year since I've been out. So I've been able to work with those issues slowly. Doesn't happen overnight. And this is why this podcast is here, to educate the family members. When these guys come out of prison, when your loved ones come out of prison, you got to give them some time. Back off and give them some time. Don't expect they're just going to snap and then they're going to come back into society. It doesn't happen that way. A lot of them have that PTSD. A lot of them can't drive. A lot of them won't drive. A lot of them can't drive or won't dare to drive right now. And some of them, as you've seen the testimonies that we have, they can't even go into Walmart. There's so many people and they're freaking out, and they just, the things that they go through. So this is why this podcast is important, not only for the inmates, but for the loved ones also. So today we thought if we'd do something different. After talking to my daughter, Laila, my beautiful daughter, hopefully I don't start crying on the show. I'm a big crybaby, man. When it comes to my kids, I'm like, oh, but God's been good. God's been good. And so me and my daughter were always talking, what was it like being in prison, or how did you feel? Or, when I left, what happened? How do you feel? And so we're going to start here. I'm going to ask my daughter. So when I left the prison, how old were you when I left?
He was 8 or 9.
You're how old?
8 or 9.
8 or 9. So let's see. You were 8 or 9. I did 5 years. Yeah, you were a baby when I left. Yeah, right. About 8. You were about 8. Do you remember the day that I left?
I think in April, right?
It was in April?
It was
Yeah, it was April, what, 17, 18 or something?
Yeah, it's April 17th.
April 17th. Yeah, April 17th. Now, when they came to pick me up, the marshals came to pick me up to take me to prison. I try to keep them from not waking you guys up. Were you guys able to see any of that? You were? They saw it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like banging on the doors, yelling.
Yeah, they were banging on the doors trying to kick it in, right? So we try to. So the marshals come in to take me, and I was fortunate that I was able to get dressed fast enough to walk outside before they kicked the door down. So I go outside. As they're banging on the door, I go outside, and they arrest me outside, but they want to come inside the house. So we told them, no, I have my kids there. I have my son. I have my daughter. I don't traumatize them. Absolutely not. I'm outside. You didn't come in to get me. I'm outside. So you can't go in my house. So we were blessed that they didn't go inside the house, and raid the house, or, it wasn't a drug or guns or anything like that I went to prison. It was a white collar crime, owing some money, but we were still fortunate that, these guys, the feds, the marshals, when they come to pick you up, they come with guns blazing. I think there was, 20 cops out there, and helicopter. It almost looked like a movie. It almost looks like a movie. For what, dude? Just come knock at the door. I want to answer the door. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna go with you peacefully. Get things done right. But that's the way they came. So you remember all that?
Yeah.
What was your feeling when you saw all that? What went through your head when you saw all that?
It was just really loud.
It was loud.
Yeah, and Enzo was crying, and we were like by the bed.
Yeah, we're
So it
crying.
was just like, yeah, I was
Enzo was crying.
Yeah.
So what did you tell Enzo when he was crying?
crying.
You were crying too. Yeah, you were crying too. Yeah. So All right. So you and Enzo are crying. Y'all are by the bed. So, what were you expecting? What do you think was happening, or what was going on?
Well, they kept saying that they were gonna like kick the door down, so I was kind of thinking they were just gonna come in and like.
Yeah, yeah. When I went outside real fast when they said they were gonna kick the door down.
And then I think they saw you like with the handcuffs.
With the handcuffs. Yeah. What did you
I think because you tried to get to Dad. She opened the door to get to you,
really?
and they were already walking in with handcuffs.
Oh,
And then they told her, "We're going to bring him right back."
Oh, they were nice. I mean, well, I mean, they told you they were gonna bring me right back.
But they didn't.
Okay. So, do you have any Kleenex? Kleenex, not just for her, for me. So, they said, "Oh, we're gonna bring him right back."
I don't remember that. I just remember seeing them like put you in handcuffs.
So, what did you think when you saw me in handcuffs? What did you think? I mean, what was going through your mind, or
I don't know.
you may want to give me one too.
I did right there.
Oh, okay.
I just remember crying, and then I don't know. I kind of think I blocked. I can't really remember. I think I like blocked it out of my.
You blocked it.
You know,
So
like it's blurry.
it's blurry. I do the same thing when I'm being traumatized as a kid. Those are things that you don't want to forget. You don't want to remember. You want to leave that stuff in the past, and you really don't want to be there for that stuff. So you see them take me away, right? You see them take me away, and then did Enzo see them take me away?
I think he was still crying by the bed, and I had I followed.
Okay. So then at this time, they've taken me, right? Okay, and then what did Mom say about them taking me? What did Mom say? What was going on, or what was happening? You don't remember? Do you remember?
I tried to reassure them and tell them like it's gonna be okay. We're gonna figure out what's going on. Don't worry. Dad's gonna call soon, and I do know that for sure that day they did not go to school. It was a school day, and I said, we're just gonna stay home today. So I had them stay home, and we just waited. I don't even think I heard from you until a couple hours when you got processed, and we were just trying to figure out attorneys and see what was going on, and I let the kids know that I had talked to you and that we were just going to wait it out and see what they wanted, and at that time we had an understanding that I would be able to bail you out. So it was probably about 2 or 3 days or 2 days at the most.
Okay.
And I had told the kids like, hey, you know what, we're gonna get Dad back home, pretty soon. We're gonna get him back here. And it was almost 3 or 4 days before you found out that there was no bail, before you went to your arraignment in court. And it was a good few days. And I didn't know how to tell the kids, and I remember sitting them down and just telling them like, hey, I thought we were going to be able to get Dad home, but we're not. And they don't remember, but I remember, and they might remember. Actually, Enzo does.
And do you want to fit in here? You want to come in? Yeah, bring a chair. Hold on, we're going to bring my wife so she can sit here. Come sit over here, babe. Come move over, babe.
I don't want to be in the middle.
You want to be in the middle?
I don't want to be in the middle.
So,
You sure?
yeah. So, that was the one thing that I remember is just telling them, hey, you know what, we're gonna figure it out. We'll find out what's going on, and but that you were not gonna come home when we thought you were.
So originally, what happened is that we were going to post bail, but they didn't give me bail because the amount I think that was owed was over $3 million. So they wouldn't give me bail. So I had to stay there until I had a court date. My court date, I ended up staying there in court for, I actually ended up staying there at the Geo for, I think it was 20 something months, 24, 26 or something like that.
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. I was waiting to go to trial, and I just kept putting it off, putting it off, putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. Now,
So that was a good thing, is that because you were here in town,
Right.
we were able to go see you every week.
yeah, every weekend, y'all would go see me. Do you remember going to see me?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, you do. What do you remember about it?
I remember it was the Joe you ate was like really gross. I felt bad. They had to be like,
Do you remember? Do you? I mean, you went to go see me for 2 years. So, what do you remember about that place?
you said it was always loud.
It was
Everyone was
loud.
always crying.
Dirty, and all the kids crying, and right, the kids were crying and stuff.
Mhm.
Do you remember seeing me to the glass?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts of seeing me through the glass? When you would come see me and I was on the other side of the glass, what did we talk about when you would come over? When you pick up the phone, right? Because when you get there, you'd have to actually pick up the phone to be on the call. So what did you feel? Do you remember what we talked about?
Well, it was.
Do you remember singing to me?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was crazy. When she would come over to see me, she'd come over, and at that time there was a glass between us, so she'd answer the phone, I'd pick up the phone, she'd be on the phone, and she would sing to me. Do you remember that? She would actually sing to me, and we would sing together on the phone. So it was kind of crazy to be able to. Is it working? Okay. Hey, everything working out there, guys?
They say it sounds off, but
It sounds off?
just keep going.
Okay.
Is it?
Is it like,
It's working.
it's like, is it like delayed?
No, it's like staticky. Just keep going.
Oh, staticky? Okay. How about now? Maybe this here? Maybe?
No, it's still just, it's like static.
Is it static?
That sounds better there.
How's that? Does it sound a little bit better there?
Yeah, it's good.
Is it good? Okay, so we're having a little technical difficulties here. So anyway, when the kids would come over to see me in the glass, they would have to pick up the phone, and you're on both sides of it, and Layla would sing to me. She would, I guess you would sing to make me feel better, or how did it go? What was it?
Okay.
Huh?
Okay, so there was this one time it's from Twilight, 1,000 Years.
1,000 years, right?
Yeah. There was this one night that we watched all the Twilight movies and cried while watching them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that song from Twilight,
The song was what was
1,000
it?
Years.
1,000 years, right? So every time Layla would come sing, she would sing that song for me. Well, how does it go? You remember?
No.
You remember how it went? But I mean, she was little. She was about 8 or 9 years old, and she would pick up the phone and she would sing for me. Is it still a little difficult?
It's just making static.
Okay.
It's okay, just keep going.
We're trying to figure this out here. It's making a little bit of static. Any questions? Is it staticky?
Yeah.
There, you're good.
Is it better?
It's better.
Is it better? Okay. All right. So we got to figure out the bugs in it. So is it better? It's good. Okay. Yes, it's better. Okay. So, when you're in prison and you're waiting for when you're waiting for your sentence, your family are able to come see you, but they see you through this glass, right? Because you haven't been sent to prison. You haven't got sentenced. So there's a glass and there's a phone that you're able to talk to them, and it's hard for the inmates because you're looking at your kids. They're small and they don't know what's going on. You really don't want them there to see you, but they want to see you. your kids, they want to visit. Did you always want to visit, or you didn't want to visit? You always wanted to go?
Well, it was yes and no. Like, I wanted to visit you, but being in the jail, it's like a lot for a kid, to hear screaming and crying, like seeing all of that.
You didn't like seeing all that? There was a lot of kids and stuff. So,
It was nasty, right?
so when you, so how did you feel when you left?
Well, it was always on and off. Like, it was good sometimes, but sometimes it was bad, depending on the visit and how I'm feeling.
Yeah, I know that Enzo cried every time he would leave. Yeah, my son Enzo, did you cry when you leave? Sometimes. Yeah, it's hard. You're in prison, and it's hard for yourself not to want to cry, but you hold a strong face, and you say, "Look, I'm not going to cry. I'm going to be strong." And it's hard that you're in prison, or you're waiting to go to prison, and your kids are visiting you, and you got to hold a straight face and be strong, and just talk to them. I'm going to come home. I remember talking to Laila, and she'd be crying on the phone, and with a knot on my throat. How do you not cry with them? Or I would talk to Enzo, and he'd be crying, "Dad, I want you home. Come home." And so, how do you not cry, or how do you hold a straight face and not cry, and try to keep them say, "Don't worry, I'm going to come home. I'm coming home. I'm not too far from being home. Just when we go to court, I think they'll give me time serve. I'll go home." And when it's not like that, and when you're in prison, your kids come and see you, it's hard for them. They're seeing, my dad used to say, "Look, you're not the only one doing time. Your kids are doing time with you. Your wife's doing time with you. It's not easy, and it's true, because you're in prison, but your kids are going through the same emotions you're going through. When my kids would come over, like I said, I always had this knot on my throat because I wanted to cry. I wanted to cry, and they were crying. They're on the phone on the other side of the glass, and they're crying. And "I just want you home, Dad. We want you home. We miss you." And how do you consult them? How do you make things easier for them to say, "Hey, I'm coming home. I'm just around the corner. I'm coming home. I miss you." And then while they're there, when they leave, they're crying. So you know what I mean? How do you, godly? And then just the idea that you're in jail, you're waiting to go to prison, and they're out there by themselves.
So you have a good question here.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was asking, were you ever angry? This is directed to Laila.
Okay.
Were you ever angry that your dad wasn't there, and did you question God?
Yeah. I think I was angry. It wasn't. I didn't think it was fair that other people had to do this. Like, it was a jealousy, angry kind of thing.
So you questioned God, but you were a little upset that other people had their dads?
Well, yeah, I was pretty mad, and I think the question was just, I see some people's dads, and they're not good people. So it's like, why are they out? My dad's in jail for money.
Mhm.
It wasn't fair, and I didn't understand it.
You ever questioned God?
Yeah.
What did you tell God, or what? I mean, I know you prayed at night because you're always talking about praying for your dad, but what would you ask God when you prayed?
Just, I don't know. I would just say,
Well, you okay?
no.
Yeah. All right.
It wasn't like an asking thing. It was mad. It was like, why are you God, but you're not fair? Why aren't you fair? Like, why do you just let this happen? Why do you take a dad from his kids? I wasn't angry at you. I was angry at him. Like, even still now, it's like, you're here, but I still lost, like, my childhood years. It's just.
This interview is harder than what I thought. You got to remember that. When you're in prison, your kids feel it. Your kids go through those emotions. They go through that too, and there's nothing that I can do to bring back the years that I lost with my daughter and my son. There's nothing I can do. Um, just listening to them. I'm grateful to be home. I'm grateful to have my kids, but there's a lot of birthdays that I miss, right? There's a lot of birthdays. Oh, you don't want to dirty your face. You don't want to melt your face. Okay. All right. So you don't want to melt your face. But there's a lot of birthdays that I can't replace.
Yeah, and I think it's also like really hard when there's certain things, not like dates, but things that you go through,
Mhm.
like heartbreaks or I don't know, friend fallouts that you like want your dad or you need his advice or you want him to be there to get you through that time. Like you can't.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I wasn't there for her. When you're in prison, you can't be there for them. And as much as you want to be there for them, you can't be there for them. And I missed a lot of years. If I could do it over, I would know went to prison. I would want to be there with you. I know. So I know. I missed a lot of years, a lot of birthdays, a lot of events that I wasn't there for y'all. A lot of Christmases that I wasn't there. I remember, like in prison, for us, the hardest times are the holidays. Because we're not with our kids. We're in jail, we're in prison, and here comes, man. Soon as Halloween comes, man, you can feel it already. You got December and you got January, you got the holidays. You got Thanksgiving, and you're not with your family. Christmas, you're not there with them. New Year's, you're not there with them, and it's hard, man. When you're in prison, when I talk to my daughter, I talk to my son. As tough as Enzo, if y'all know Enzo's always has that face like real tough. But when we start talking about being in prison, he can't hold it. He can't hold it. He gets emotional, and the thing is that I robbed him of those years. To look, if you really look at it, I robbed my kids of those 5 years I was gone. Not only the 5 years I was gone, the emotional scars that comes with it. When you're in prison, you leave your kids scarred. They're scarred for life. And I always talk about when you go to prison, it's a life sentence. Yeah, I got 5 years, but guess what? I can't go get a job anywhere because I got to check out that little square box that says that I've been a felon. I can't go get a regular driving job for some company as a truck driver, even though I have a CDL, but they won't hire me because I'm a felon. There's a lot of things that they gave me a life sentence. Yeah, I got 5 years. I got a life sentence. On top of that, I still got to do restitution. How am I going to pay these guys $3 million? So I went to go do the time, come back. You still owe the IRS $3 million. And I went to go do time, and I almost destroyed, in the process, I almost destroyed my family. I almost lost my kids. I almost lost my wife. Good thing my wife was a good Christian woman that waited for me. And not only that, took care of our kids. Mom was good, huh? Yeah, she held it together. My wife, while I was gone, not only was she the mom, she was the dad, the coach, the cheerleading,
Cheer coach.
the cheer coach,
It
right?
wasn't very good, but I did it.
She was a cheer coach. She was the Uber driver. I mean, she did it all. And held a job. And not only that, took care of my dad. My dad had Parkinson's and he had Alzheimer's, and my wife was there to take care of them. And that's, the thing is that when you go to prison, there's so much that you lose, and then the family wonders, why are you so angry coming out of prison? It should have done you good. Really? You go to prison, you look at all the things that you lost, not only the things that you lost, but look what you do to your kids. Think about it. If you're out there slinging drugs and selling whatever you're selling, living that kind of life, if you're watching this and you know somebody that's out there, you know what I'm talking about, send them this video. Share this video to them. When you go to prison, bro, you're going to wish you didn't go to prison, because there's a good chance you're going to lose your family, you're going to lose your wife, you're going to lose your kids. And God forbid that they give you a 15 or 20, 25-year bid. because when you come out, you're going to be a grandpa. All the years of your kids, you're going to miss them. I was fortunate to get 5 years. When I left, you were 8 years old. So there's a lot of things that I missed on with Laila. I remember seeing you when Mom used to send me pictures of you cheering. Right, I still got those pictures. You cheering.
Cheer championship.
You were with the pom poms and the little blue dress and all that. You know what I mean? But those are pictures. Those are pictures that when I was in prison, as your mama sent me every week, I had pictures. That's one thing about Mom. She always sent me pictures. She was taking pictures of y'all, but it was not only for you guys, but it was for herself, but it was also for me. My wife would send me pictures. It looked like every week I was getting pictures of the kids,
everything, right?
of everything.
Going out to
They
eat.
go to eat, they go hiking, they go bike riding, anything that they did, I always got pictures to let me know how the kids were doing. So my support group or my support system was good because I knew my wife was Christian. She was hanging in there. She was taking care of the kids. She was mom and dad, taking pictures of the kids and taking care of the kids. So that gave me hope of coming home to something. When you're in prison, you're out there in prison. A lot of times you don't have that hope because, you go to prison, your wife, I've seen it. The wife leaves, the wife move on, the wife gets married, the wife has kids with someone else. And then your kids, they're scattered, and that's what sin does. Think about this. That's what sin does. The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And once he gets his foot in the door, he's going to destroy you. Not only destroy you, destroy your family. By destroying your family, he'll send you to prison. The wife moves on, the kids get scattered. Not only that, the kids, they grow up without a father. And then I've seen it many times. The father's in prison and the son's in prison with him, their own son. I've seen 3 generations in prison. I've seen the grandfather, I've seen the father and the grandson in prison, same prison. I've seen it. So, that's what sin does.
So Layla said something interesting though just a few minutes ago, or you did actually. You had said that I was Ubering, and earlier in the week when Layla and I were talking, and we're talking about Ubering, she said, "Wait, you were Ubering because we needed money, right?"
Yeah, because you were Ubering. I remember you telling me, "Hey, I'm gonna Uber."
We have that understanding because we knew our situation, and this is for any of the women that are out there. Is that we had that understanding because we knew what we need to do, but Layla never really knew.
I didn't know we were poor.
We were poor when I was, it's crazy because before I left the prison, we had everything. We had trucks, and I had 50 trucks, and I was in the oil field, and then all of a sudden,
yeah. Well, there was
nothing.
We were doing good,
but they didn't know.
Yeah, there was this one moment where, we got poor.
We got poor. Yeah.
And so moms are Ubering, and as a kid, I was like, oh, she just wants to Uber. It's a new thing, my understanding.
You really didn't know what was going on.
My understanding was that she was just like, oh, let's save up, go for a trip, or save up for something. So I was like, oh, okay.
And the thing is, my wife did a good job in keeping the kids and not letting them know how tough it was. Yeah. And the kids needed whatever the kids needed. My wife was there, and she would tell me, is it okay if I do some Ubering just to make some extra cash? Now I would tell you, yes, just be careful, And also when the pandemic started really bad, Ubering was big back then, But she would tell me, look, I'm going to Uber for a week or 2, save money so we can go see you. So she would go do some Ubering, and I think it was just delivering food, right? That's what you were doing?
So we did I did do the actual Ubering, but then I couldn't bring anybody with me.
Right.
And so I ended up switching to food, and that's where I would tell Layla, come on, let's go. We're going to go run for the night, or we're going to go run for the day, and we're going to go in the car. So I was always trying to make it.
What's crazy is that us as men, when we go to prison, the wife's going to do what she needs to do to take care of the children. They'll get 2 jobs, 3 jobs. And I've seen that the women will adapt. They will take care of their family. There's good women out there that they're going to do what they need to do to take care of their family. And my wife was like that. She several jobs to make ends meet. But my daughter, she didn't know that we were poor. she didn't. She didn't know that.
She didn't know there was a struggle.
There was a struggle because my wife hid it so well, and we discussed when I was in prison. We talked. We would tell, we would say, hey, let's not let the kids know how bad it is, and whatever we can do, and your mom just put it together.
I think even going like to Texarkana, right? Like once Dad was moved, it was never like, oh, we have to go see Dad. It was like, we're going on vacation. I made sure that
it was like a vacation for them to, so
stayed at a good place. Worked enough to save up money that when we got there, because we only got to visit for the that one day, or whatever it was, 2 days. But we'd go early and just try to enjoy the trip.
So so I get transferred, I go to prison. You go see me. What did you think about seeing me in prison? I'm in prison. I'm in greens, right? I was wearing greens. I don't like green anymore. So I don't wear nothing with green. Anything that's green, I don't wear. Because that's what I used to wear, green shirt and green pants.
But it was a totally different prison, right? Like from
it was like this. Like we could talk.
It was different, right? It's harder when you're waiting trial and you're in geo or you're in the county. Man, that's a hard time. Trust me, that's hard time. Our geo didn't have AC, so no AC. So it was like you were sweating all day long, man. Like 4 or 5 showers a day, because we didn't have AC. So as soon as I went to prison, it was like, oh my, okay, we got AC here in the prison. Not all the units had it, but the unit I was had AC. So it was a little bit better. And we were able to go outside and walk around before the pandemic. After the pandemic hit, we were on lockdown. So you're in SEG. You're like lockdown where you can't go out, you can't do nothing, you can't go see TV.
And that was hard, right?
That's harder.
Because we tried to go maybe every other month when Dad was in Texarkana, right? And then Corona came and it was like,
it was over. I mean, I didn't. When the pandemic hit, it hit pretty hard where we were. Just in Texarkana, I think we lost 60. 60 inmates died in the Texarkana prison, but that was because of COVID. But I didn't get to see y'all for 18 months because we were on lockdown. So it was pretty tough. So you go see me the first time. What did you think the first time when you saw me? Was I getting bigger? Was I gaining weight? Did I look happy? Was I sad? Do you remember?
My memory is so bad.
But it was different. I know you remember that. It was different to be there, different to see the place.
Well, it was crazy. I was able to hug her.
Yes.
I remember hugging, and you were little. You were still you were 9 or 10.
No, by this time she was like
about
12.
10. Really?
Right? You were like 11.
So she was 8, 9, 10. Yeah, you were about 11.
About 11.
Yeah. And I remember giving you a big hug and then giving Enzo a hug. And I was able to, in the what was it? The room, they had visitation and outside and inside. So I was able to hug you guys and see you. And the cool thing about it was that I was able to see that as they were getting older, they were getting taller and taller and bigger, So.
Can we answer some of the questions?
Sure. If y'all have any questions, ask us questions so we can. Okay, so what's the question? What is it, Lay?
Sonny, was there ever a time when you didn't want your kids to visit you at the prison?
I never wanted them to see me. Not in that.
I thought she was gonna make the face.
Not in here. Scoot over here a little bit. So not in that way. Okay, not in that way. Not that I didn't want to see you. It hurt me every time I saw them. It hurt me to see them come over because, look, when you're in prison, those memories are not going to go anywhere. When they see you locked up in prison or behind bars or shackled, one thing I didn't want them to see me was being shackled from from my wrist to my ankles. I didn't want them to see that. Things that happened, I didn't want to see that. So when they did come see me, I did have kind of like, man, really don't. I wanted to see them so bad that I was like, well, okay, come see me. But I really didn't want them to see me that way. It was like when my father wanted to see me at the Geo, he wanted to come see me, and I would tell my wife, don't put my dad on the list. I don't want him to see me like this. I really didn't even want the kids to come see me because I didn't want them to keep that memory and remember me that way of being in prison. But it's something that you think
Yeah,
you'll
that's
ever
not a-
you think you'll ever forget me being in prison?
No.
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 What memories do you have of me being in prison? I mean, if you thought of me being in prison, what memory comes to you? I mean, what do you think of? Do you see me in green? Do you
I
see me
remember-
handcuffed, or
I
what do you
remember
see?
specifically one time after COVID when we were in the green one and they like put a shield or like
Oh, the plastic.
a plastic like in between us, and I just remember thinking I was like yeah, it was kind of dumb. It was honestly dumb.
It was.
So it's in my mind like
Yeah.
engraved.
When we were in COVID, they began to let us visit, right? But it was a plastic in front of us. I could see my family, but we were in a plastic. But the guard was so cool. He said, "Look, right here in the corner, the camera doesn't catch that, so you can meet up with your family here in the corner. You can hug them and kiss them." So it was like, yeah, it was an hour or two behind the plastic, but right outside the door, the camera wouldn't catch us, wasn't able to see us in that spot right there.
So those are all silver lining things. I remember that visit.
Remember
in
that
particular.
visit?
Oh yeah,
We-
yeah.
Remember that? Okay. So we thought that we were gonna get to go see you. It was a holiday weekend.
Right?
I don't remember what
3 day
holiday it was. So we
Thanksgiving.
thought, huh?
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving's another one. We're gonna talk about that one.
I
This
thought that's the one that we couldn't see him because remember it was like the whole trip was like because we
no,
didn't.
that was the COVID trip. The COVID trip we were expecting to see every day, and then they ended up putting us down for one day for 2 hours.
Yeah, that was crazy
That's-
because you could only see me through COVID only 1 hour, but the guard that was there, was it the guard or it was
Yeah.
Allensworth? Allensworth.
Don't get him in trouble.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you in trouble. Allensworth.
Get in trouble.
But he gave me 2 hours and then he let me hug you guys and kiss you guys. So I mean, those guys, they had a heart, but they knew that it was hard for the family.
But we had booked like this whole 4 days, thinking we're gonna go see you every day.
Yeah,
It was fun.
it wasn't like
But
that.
let's talk about Thanksgiving.
So that Thanksgiving, y'all came. Everything was closed, right?
Everything
I think
was
it was on
closed.
Thanksgiving. It was closed on Thanksgiving. Yeah. What other questions do we have there?
Yeah,
Answer that
I
one.
have them on the phone.
What do you have?
It said, Sonny, when you got out, did you wonder if your kids were going to be welcoming back? I asked because I know my sisters and I did not want to even know.
I was worried that my kids were grown. I remember coming out. My wife was so independent. I mean, she was independent. She made for the last 5 years. She made her own living. I wasn't there. I wasn't taking care of them. Normally, when I was out, we had a trucking company. We were in the oil field. I would take care of my family, whatever they needed. We had all these things, right? So being in there, I remember thinking, man, my wife is so independent. I mean, what is she going to want with me? You know what I mean? I'm not going to have a job when I get out. She really don't need me. And then another thing, I was worried about the kids too, like you were asking. If I could, I was wondering, maybe will I be able to have that relationship with my kids? After 5 years, think about it. They were 8. Now they were 13, 14 years old when I was coming home. So I thought about it and I was like, man, this is going to be hard coming home from prison and my kids not accepting me. I struggled with that. I was worried that they, but it was crazy when I first came home. I was like kind of in shock myself where I really didn't talk to them that much and they didn't talk to me. We were kind of getting to know each other. It's like anything else. It's like a relationship. You've been gone for such a long time and then you're trying to start that relationship up again. Do you remember that, Mijo, coming home and what? I see that smile on her face. I see that smile on her face. Go ahead. So coming home, what was it like for me to come home? Be
I don't want to
nice.
offend. Yeah.
You said, I go, be nice.
Just-
Be nice.
She's all this, I remember.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I was like-
Oh, so what happened?
Okay, so I remember you coming home
Okay.
and like in the most respectful way possible. I didn't see you as like an authority, like
Right.
someone that I go to ask for permission or
Right.
ask for anything. So I would always just like go to mom and see you as like someone that's there. Like
And it's fair. It's fair because I was gone 5 years. So for her to ask, hey, Dad, can I go do this or can I do that? She would go to her mom because her mom was always there. That's fair. That was fair. That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad. Now, who do you ask now? Who's your daddy now?
Oh, like,
Who's your
who
daddy?
do you ask
Who
now?
do you ask now? You go ask mom and mom says no, then you come, Dad. So any other questions out there?
Yes. Here's one. How was it like, Layla, when your dad came back?
How was it? How was I or how was Layla?
What was
How
it
was
like?
it?
How did
What
you
was it
know?
like?
Just say
Just
it.
say
She has
it.
something.
Was it like you were scared?
Was it weird?
Was it weird?
yeah, I think it was weird. Well, can
Huh?
okay, so it's,
Speak your
Oh,
mind. Don't worry, I'll ground you later. No, but
Sorry.
I mean, when it coming home, what was it like a mixed feelings
I
or
think it was. I had this idea of you that other people created for me,
okay?
like stories and things that they would tell me. So I thought you were just
That was mean,
like,
bad,
like a bad person,
as a
like
killer.
not a killer, but I had this idea of you of one way. So when you came out, it was like steer clear, like don't do anything that'll make him mad. Don't do like from the stories. Like I didn't
Okay.
want to do. I wasn't myself, I was very watch what I did, watch what I say, trying to like because I was scared that
Mm.
how you would react from the
So
story.
you lost that because now you just speak your mind now. She lost that. She's not scared of me anymore. Huh?
Yeah, I mean no.
So I'm in prison, and stories of me were like, your dad's tough and he's mean and he's violent and right. Stories that we've talked before, and like my past or when I was younger. When I was younger, I had a lot of anger issues and pretty violent when I was young. But so she knew stories of that they've heard. She heard from me when I was younger, right? But so when coming home from prison, we've talked a little bit, and it was like, man, Dad, I didn't know what to expect because I heard these stories of you before you left to prison, and then you're coming home and we don't know who you are, So okay, so
So another question was,
Yes.
how are your friends with you now that he's out? Were their parents okay with you still hanging out?
okay, so let me answer this one first. So I come back, I come home, and she thinks I'm this person, this monster coming home, right? So was I that person when I came home? No, no. What was that like when I came home?
Well, you were like now, just well, you have like a soft spot for us, cause I can see that, yeah,
Yeah, I got a soft spot for her.
yeah, cause
Anything
like,
she wants, she gets.
'cause, like,
Okay.
I would say that you're like really nice and easygoing, but I know that's like for me. So like for me, you're like easygoing, nice. Like I can ask you anything
And get anything that
yeah,
you want from me. Okay.
freely speak my mind, kind of.
Okay.
So that's how you are like with me. I think you from the stories, like you still are better from the stories. Like,
So the stories of me, they don't match who I am, right? Is that what you're trying to say? Okay. You heard it from her.
Like, so if you're judging my dad,
I'm a good guy.
stop judging my dad.
Stop judging my dad, dude.
Yeah.
Stop talking about my dad. It's not true,
For-
right?
Mm.
Yeah, I love you, baby. Okay, so what's the other
So
question?
the other question was, how are your friends with you now that he was out, and were their parents okay with still hanging out with you?
Yeah.
Now that your friends knew I was in prison.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I think it just
Or,
I think it depends on the
or
crime.
on the hallway where they say, "Hey, let's dad's in prison." No,
I think-
they were pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it depends on the crime because like yours is a money crime. Like if you kill someone, I'm pretty sure they.
Sorry.
If you but if you kill someone or like did something like crazy,
was
it
bad.
would be different.
It'd be different. So your friends, okay, so your friends' parents were okay
It's
with
just money.
me coming out of prison. They weren't like, well, we don't want you to hang out with us, or I don't want you to hang out with my daughter, or my kids because your dad was in prison. Did you ever get none of that? No, that was pretty cool. All right. So I would think that some parents would say, no, your dad was in prison. I don't want you hanging out with my daughter or my kids because you've been in prison. So
What's the next question?
what was the next one?
There's no more questions.
No, there wasn't one. Marty had a question out there.
I've already gone through them.
Well, ask questions, guys.
It says, yeah, ask questions. Y'all have some questions. Ask some questions. Tony says, good to see you, Sonny, you and your daughter. Oh, thank you, Tony. Thank you. Don't forget class tomorrow. 8:00. Who's that?
Lily's saying, God help all the children of parents that are away.
Who was this? Lily?
Lily.
Yeah. The thing is that when you're in prison, you have a lot of time to think about what you did. A lot of time to go over all the mistakes you did, all the mistakes that you did, and you're just like, man, I wish I could take it back. But there's times that there's a lot of things that I wish I would have taken back. But that was my life, right? And this is why when it comes to inmates and people that are in prison, I have this huge soft spot for them in my heart because I know what I went through, and I know what they're going through, and I know what they're thinking, and I know how they feel, and I know what it's like to be stripped down, butt naked, no clothes, and just walk through there just in handcuffs from your wrist all the way to your ankle, be humiliated, and I know what that feels like, and that's something that you'll never get. They try to break you. They try to break you down. They try to, by putting you in shackles, and they're trying to break your spirit. They're trying to break you mentally, physically. But you gotta be strong mentally. You gotta be strong to be able to think, hey, you know what? One day those doors are gonna open. One day I'm gonna walk through those doors. They're not going to break me. It's all in your mind, and to control your mind to not to be broken. I wish I could take those years that I lost with you, Laila, with my daughter and my son and my wife, but I can't. So I have to make it up right now. Right now is my time right now. I'm almost 60 years old. So I got to make the best time for my kids and do them right, said, hey, look, I know I missed these years with my kids, and right now it's time to make up for them and do right and live right and serve God and, be good to my wife and my kids and serve God the best I can. It's not easy. Any other questions? If y'all have any questions, ask, because I'd love to hear from y'all. Like I said, today was a special prison talk with my daughter. And so if y'all have any questions for me or for her mom, Sophie's here too. So y'all can ask. So what's the next question?
It's Marty saying, when did you truly commit your life to God and serving the community? Okay, so I was serving God before I left to prison. Okay, thank you, Sally. I was already serving God when an old case from 2013 came and they made a case on me from 2000. I had been serving God for a while. I had got off of heroin. I was a functioning heroin addict,
and got off of heroin, started serving the Lord. And then an old case came in, and I got arrested. I got picked up. I got indicted. Went to prison. I think now this is going to sound crazy. Believe it or not, this is going to sound crazy. Yes, I lost a lot of years with my daughter and my son and my wife. I lost a lot of time with them. This may sound crazy what I'm going to say, but I have to say that prison was one of the best things that happened to me. And some of you may not agree. Laila may not agree with it. She may not agree with it.
Makes one of us. Makes one of us.
Makes one of us. So I say that because I was able to step back and realize that, hey, life is not about me. This is not about me. This journey, this life is about my kids, my wife, about doing right, living right, doing things right, and doing it right, and serving God. So through this, through going to prison, I wasn't really close to God while I was in prison. I wasn't mad with God. I wasn't angry with God. Nothing like that. I got closer to God when I got out. I started seeing God's hand in my life. I began to see things that people were doing. I'm going to go out there like this, but I have a reason to this. I began to see things that were happening to me when I got out of prison, things that people close to me not really accepting me back and not giving me that support, and being in prison, coming home, that I began to see God's hand above all that. When somebody would do something wrong to me, I would see God come through. I began to see God's hand in my life so much in my life in 2022, where I couldn't help but say, you know what, God, there is a God. You know what? You are working in my life. You've matured me. It's the craziest thing. 22 was one of the hardest years for me, not only physically, spiritually, but 23 is when I really got to see God's hand move in my life, my kids' life, and my wife's life, where He just took care of us. You know, no job, looking for a job, had a job, got released from that job, got hired through Eagle Flight, Pam Allen, to serve, check this out, to serve the community and feed the community in our own neighborhood. So seeing those things play out, I began to see God's hand. I began to see God's hand, and nothing that would anybody do or anybody would say that God wasn't there for me. That's when I started getting closer to God and saying, you know what, there is something to this. There is something to this. And this is when I started getting closer to God, seeking more to God, and getting closer to Him, because it was just like I couldn't get away from Him. I couldn't get away from God and His goodness. God will reach you. God's a gentleman. He's going to reach you with His kindness. He's going to show you how much He loves you, how much He cares for you. You're going to see His love in your life. And that's when, God gets to you, and you say, you know what, I want to live right. I want to do right. And I've been great. I'm thankful and grateful that I'm able to be out here and be with my kids and my wife, and to do it all over, I'm doing it all over at 60 years old. So I remember thinking, man, I'm getting old. My kids always make fun of me. Dad, you're getting old, you're old. And Grandpa and Viejito, and my brother Michael calls me Viejito, and my brother Sam calls me Grandpa, and my kids. But you know what? I don't feel old. And the last years that I have, here, I'm going to dedicate them to God, and I'm going to dedicate them to my kids, and my wife, and live right and do right, and do everything I possibly can to serve God in the right way, in the right manner. So that's Amen. So any other questions out there?
There's no more questions. It doesn't look like.
Any other questions?
Say hi to Monica.
Oh, Monica, Yvette, hey, nice to see you. Nice to see you. Zion. Hey, hi, mijo, how are you? It's just, I think back that I'm grateful. I think we talked about earlier. A little boy came to ask my daughter to go to the military ball, right? A military ball. So the kid, they did it old style. He did it old school. He came and asked me first before he asked my daughter.
And he brought more flowers.
And he brought my wife flowers and brought my daughter flowers, right? So Ezekiel, how you doing? And so he did it old school. He asked me if he could take out my daughter, take her to a military ball. I drilled him. Do you drink? Do you smoke? Do you do drugs? Are you a good kid? Are you a good boy? You're gonna respect my daughter. You're gonna be nice to my daughter. I asked him all these questions. He was all nervous. He was all nervous. Yeah. What are your intentions with my daughter? But all these questions. But it wasn't until after I said yes and everything, I realized, you know what? God gave me the opportunity to be here for that day. And what I mean by that was I wasn't in prison or I wasn't dead. I was able to see, I was able to experience that. And, there's a lot of dads that are out there that are in prison that they're not going to be able to experience that. There's a lot of dads that are not going to be home for their homecoming for their daughters, for their sons, their quinceanera, 16s. They're not even going to be home to walk their daughter down the aisle for them to get married. Think about that. And I'm grateful that maybe one day I get to walk you down the aisle. Right? Maybe. Maybe. She goes, maybe. I don't know if I get married, but no, I don't want you to get married till you're like 30, 35 years old. But she goes, what? But I'm grateful for that experience, to be there to experience a little boy asking my daughter to go to a dance in the ball. It was just a privilege. After I got to think about it, I said, man, God, you're awesome. How can I ever thank you? How can I ever thank you for one, taking me from being an addict, being a heroin addict, and two is going to prison. I really consider that it was a blessing for me to go to prison. And I always say that I would always tell my wife when I was in prison that not only that I had to come to prison, but that I was grateful that it was me and it wasn't none of my brothers, that it was me, that God chose me to go to prison, not my brothers. I really considered it, hey, I'm glad it was me because I know I can handle prison. And so, I was tough enough and mentally to take going to prison. But, if you have a loved one in prison, just pray for them. Just keep praying for them. I always tell everybody, send them a card. Send them $25. If you can spare $25, put money in their books. Let them know that you're thinking about them. If you only knew how lonely it is to be in prison, it's lonely to be in prison, and not to get a card, not to get a letter, not to get a couple of dollars on your book so you can buy yourself some soups, some macros to buy something. It's sad. I saw it in prison. Guys that didn't have money, guys with big old bags full of food, and guys that wouldn't go to commissary because they didn't have a support group. They had family that didn't care about them, didn't send them any money, didn't send them anything. So if you have a loved one, don't forget your loved ones. Just because they're in prison doesn't mean they're dogs. They're some perros. They're in a cage. Don't forget them. Don't forget them. Send them a letter. Put some money on their books. Send them.
You can send
a
them
book. Send them a book.
Amazon.
Send them pictures of the family. See how the family, the kids are, how they're doing. Don't forget them. Layla, what is it?
It says, Layla, what would you tell kids that are still waiting for their parents to get out of prison?
What would you tell them if somebody came to you and said, Layla, what was it like, or what would you tell them?
I've told them before, just keep yourself busy. Just join a sport, get a hobby, start reading. I know, like with me and mom, she would, I don't know, she was always with us. She would movie nights, go on. We would do bike rides. We did bike riding for a little while. Just keep yourself busy. Talk to him, write him letters.
Yeah, I think one of the most
Or
important. I think one of the important things is just stay busy. You know, if you know if you're a mom and you have your loved one in prison and you have kids, keep busy. Just stay busy. Stay busy. Do things with them. Keep their mind occupied. Put them in sports and cheer, whatever they want to do, but keep them busy. Don't let them feel the neglect and the loneliness of their father being in prison or their mom being in prison for that. So yeah, that's good. That's a good one. Yeah. So
Final thoughts?
I know that's for the kids, but like especially for like the other significant that isn't in jail, the one that's out. Check on your kids. Like, don't just assume that they're fine. You know,
did y'all hear that?
have I know, mom. We would do these things where it was me, her, and Enzo, and we would do like a wellness check. Or we would check in like, how are you? Like, what do you need to talk? What do you need to get off your chest? What do you need to talk about?
Y'all used to do that?
We did highs and lows.
Oh, that
Our
was
well check.
awesome.
What was our high for the day and what was our low for the day? And then if we had any kind of anybody that we were mad at or anything that we were upset with, whatever it was, we had to bring it to the table. We weren't, we didn't let it go to the next day.
Wow, that's awesome. You had a good mommy. Yeah, your mom held it together, and there's a big difference from a mom that there's a big difference from a mom that knows God and a mom that doesn't know God. There's a big difference, big, huge difference when a mother or a wife is waiting for a loved one that's in prison, but they're serving God. It's totally different than a mom that's waiting for their loved one and they're not saved. Life goes on. Sometimes they move on. It's hard. Any way you look at it, it's hard for the woman to be waiting. What's the other one, Sophia? I know that you're part of a women's prison group.
Yeah, it says, I know you're part of a women's prison group, but what would you tell other women that don't have support and are trying to stay afloat until their husband gets out? There's so many aspects to that, but first and foremost, I always say, everybody find a healthy church. Find somewhere that you can get connected, that you can get encouraged, that you can get filled, because it's so important to have that. And the next thing is find people that know what you're going through, which is why, what I found Victoria with the Prison Wives group, it was awesome. Because, you could connect with other women that understood what you were going through, that knew, how difficult it was. So that was really important. But yeah, I mean, just find ways to connect with other people, and don't discredit anyone just because they have no idea what I'm going. You don't know how many people would tell me, well, you don't know what I'm going through. Just assuming that because I had my kids and I was in church, they just thought that I didn't have any idea. And then when I would tell them, well, actually right now I'm a single parent. I'm not a single woman, but I'm a single parent because my husband's not here. So just don't ever discredit anybody that wants to reach out to you and that wants to help you. And financially, do your best. I mean, that's all I can say is just do your best, stay afloat. Like they were talking about, I did Ubering, DoorDash, whatever I could do to just be able to keep our head above water. The kids talk about all the cool things we did, but what I think sometimes they don't see or don't know is that a lot of stuff we did was free and didn't cost anything. Right. And they didn't know the difference. They really didn't. I was like, hey, we're gonna do this cool thing, we're gonna make sandwiches, or we're gonna take food and we're going to go to the park for the day. And we would stuff a backpack full of food. We'd go walk in the park, right? We had snacks, chips, whatever. And it cost us nothing, but it was awesome. And we spent the whole day out. So the things that we think about, that we think we need to do this or do that for our kids, really, they just want time. They just want to know that they're important.
And like Laila says, don't assume that they're doing okay because they look okay. Check on them, spend time with them, ask questions. Look, A lot of times we think, that our kids are doing good because, they're doing good, they're doing all right, they're doing their thing. I'm just going to let them do the thing. They'll be fine. They're growing up. No, no. That's when you have these kids that commit suicide and they get on drugs because we neglect them. That was real important while I was in prison, for my kids not to be neglected and to make sure that she was there for them. And look, it's hard for any mom or anyone that has somebody in prison. It's not easy. I understand that. I know it's not easy, but you have to look after your kids and just listen to them, listen to their conversation, talk to them, just spend some time. You don't have to spend money on them, just spend some time with them.
And be aware, because even having that time, Enzo's not here, but Layla remembers that no matter how much time, we did spend together and we had those talks and, they still struggled in their own mindsets. Even Enzo went through an episode where we didn't tell you while you were gone.
Where he took all that medicine, right?
He took all that medicine.
Yeah, my son almost OD'd on prescription drugs. It was
his ADHD medication.
Yeah, it was Adderall or something like that.
Yeah, and explaining to the doctor coming in asking, were you trying to kill yourself? Were you trying to, do you know what you did? And his only answer was, I was just trying to be better for my mom because my mom has too much stuff going on.
Yeah, so the kids, the kids feel it. I talk to Enzo sometimes, and we talk about me being in prison. And he's like, "Man, Dad, I lost a lot of time with you. Not being there. You weren't there for me." And so, I can apologize all I can to my kids, but it's something that it's always going to be there. It's always going to be there that I wasn't. I missed those 5 years. So, this is why this podcast is important for me. This is my heart, to be able to pour out my heart and to be able to help those that are coming out of prison and the family members that are waiting for the inmates or their loved ones to come out of prison. I want to put them together. I want to connect them together. This is why it's important for the wives to be part of our Thursdays. We have Thursday Bible studies here. And the reason why we do Bible studies is so that way, when you're coming out of prison, you have to stay connected. If you're listening to this, and if you know anybody that's struggling out there, share this video. Share it. Please share it to other people that you know. I know everybody knows somebody that's struggling with alcohol, coke, meth, heroin, whatever the addiction is. The thing is that if you don't become part of a support group, a Bible study that's strong, people that have been through it, you're going to end up going back. You're going to end up tearing up your family. You're going to end up losing your wife. You're going to end up losing your kids. When you're in prison, you have a lot to think about. Oh man, I should have done it this way. I could have done it this way. I should have been closer to my wife. I could have been a better person, but it's too late, bro. It's too late. You got a 10 piece. You got a 15 piece, so coulda, shoulda, woulda, and all that crying and baby, I'm sorry. I'm going to change when I get out. That's 10 years from now, bro. She's not going to stick around for 10 years. And I'm talking the truth, man. I'm just talking the way it is. I'm just letting you know the way it is. Find yourself a support group. Find yourself someplace that you can connect to. If you don't want to connect with us on Thursdays, find yourself a good church. No matter what church. Just find yourself something to connect. Connect to something. Connect to somebody. And find yourself a group that people like us, people like you, I always say, we're like, I say Cholo Church, we have a little group or a bunch of people that all tatted and inked and everything. You don't have to be in prison to be part of our group, but we're just letting you know that we're here on Thursdays. We're here for you if you have any questions.
So that actually answers the question on the screen because Mari was saying, Sunny or Sophia, is there a support group for those that get out of prison that are struggling? If so, how do you connect those that are looking for support? So what we were just talking about are Thursday Bible studies. And it's not just a Bible study, it's a fellowship. So we have a Bible study, we share a word, and then everyone is able to open up, talk, ask questions, and connect with one another to be able to help each other and encourage one another.
It's almost like an open mic. It's almost like it's a group.
Support group.
It's a support group. You're able to talk. You're able to speak. Anything that you're going through, you're going to
It's a life support
Yeah,
group.
you're just gonna say, hey, look, this is what I'm struggling with. I need help here, and you just let us know, or we can pray for you, what we can pray for and help you with. This is what we do. This is what we love doing. This is what we're called to do. This is what I'm called to do.
So there's more questions.
Okay,
Yeah.
what's the other
Someone
question?
said, would she have rather known the truth of what was happening or sugarcoat the situation?
Which is on?
It's not on the
It's on
screen. It's
yours.
on my phone.
On yours?
Yeah.
Okay, so the question was for you, for mom, or for me? Okay, so what was it?
Would she have rather known the truth of what was happening or sugarcoat?
Okay, I mean, would you have really known what was really going on, or for me just to kind of, no, things are all right, I'm gonna be home. I remember when you used to come see me, and we were she would come see me, and I was on the other side of the glass, and um, it was hard for me because I was real emotional, and she was emotional, and I would tell her, Mija, remember one thing, baby, I'm not dead. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. When you lose a loved one, they're not coming home. There's a lot of things that happen in prison. And I would tell her, I'm okay, Mija. I'm going to come home someday. One day, I'm going to come home.
So what do you think, Laila?
What do you
To
think?
answer the question,
Okay, to answer the question.
I would honestly rather it have just been said, because
The truth? Yeah. Why sugarcoat it, right?
yeah, because what my understanding was that when you got taken, they said it was 10 days. So when those 10 days came, I was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Like, I was expecting him to come. I would have just rather did like straight. I mean, it's good to let you in
You know what? I think he was just being nice to you.
I'm talking about some.
She's talking about us, and I think that's a valid point. But for those first few months, honestly, I really did think that at any point you were coming home.
And you know what was crazy? I knew I wasn't coming home.
Well,
We could have said that.
we could have said that.
No,
you could have told us something.
It was like an intuition that I had.
I know you should have shared that.
I had an intuition. Don't look. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. No, but you're right.
We were waiting. Like every time that I told, and it wasn't even sugarcoating it because, like, I had told them the officer was like, "Oh, you can bail him out." So I thought within a few days he's going to be here. And then when I called to the court, the attorney was like, sorry, nobody knows who attorney is. Attorney's like, give me 20 grand and I'm going to get him out, So this whole time, I really thought at any point you were going to be released. I never thought that 1 week would turn into 1 month, would turn into 1 year. And then before you knew it,
5 years went by.
Yeah, 5 years had gone by. So I didn't have, as soon as I had that understanding, I remember it was Valentine's, the day that you went to court. I remember that.
By the way, I hate Valentine's Day. That was the day I got sentenced. February 14th.
Yes, it was. Because I remember thinking, okay.
The judge showed me no love. No love whatsoever. No candies, no nothing.
So I remember telling the kid, I did not tell the kids that I was going to court that day because we had so many letdowns already that I just didn't even want to put their hopes up. So it was after school. I had gone to pick them up early, and I don't know. I took them to eat. We went to King's, right? We went to have lunch or dinner, and I just told them. I said, "Hey, so we did go to court today, and Dad's not coming home, and he's going to have to be sent somewhere else." And at the time, we thought it was going to be 9 years. So I was explaining to them that it was going to be another 5 years.
Yeah, 9 years was almost 10 years.
Yeah.
And then I had 2 years, 3 years. I had to, when I finished the feds, 10 years, I would have to go do another 3 years in the state.
So I had to tell them, like, hey, you know what? He's not coming out. I know it's already been over 2 years, and it's probably going to be another 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So
what's
let's see.
She got another question.
What would Laila say to others about hanging in there for their loved one in prison? I kind of answered it, I think. You said, like, keep busy.
Keep busy, yeah, keep busy. So she has some friends. Your friends are asking
questions.
Oh, questions.
And another one. Has Laila learned that every choice she makes will affect everyone in her life? I don't know.
And and it's not just for Layla. It's
Work with her, Pastor Bobby. Work with her.
yeah.
Oh,
The thing is, it's not just her decisions which that affect her life. It's us as parents. What we do, the choices that we take, and the choices that we take, not only affects you, it affects your family, your wife, and your kids. Everything. It's a domino effect. Once that main domino falls, it takes everybody. It takes the wife. It takes the kids. It takes everything, and it just continues to fall until it just takes everything from you.
So what do you think?
So big decisions.
But have you seen how the choices that you make, or by Dad's example, the choices that Dad makes?
That's what they're
That's
trying
what
to
they're trying to
say.
say. Have you learned that?
You seen that?
oh, well, I'm not gonna put all my business out there, but I've done some things,
Yeah.
So I know when y'all like caught me like doing those things, it was kind of a guilt trip. Like it was like I'm not a good enough parent, or I'm not a good enough parent. I failed as a mother to do what I'm supposed to do, and that's why you're like this. And one of two things, I guess, two of my choices do reflect on y'all. To answer the question, but this also just came to mind right now, is like, with that being said, when your kid's going through something, and when they're going through stuff that you're going through too, I think it's best that you don't, oh, I didn't do good enough as a parent, it's my fault, like trying to kind of guilt trip them in a way, or make them feel guilty for things that they're looking for things to heal what they're going through, and they're trying to like find coping things, and blaming you not being a good parent, or oh, I failed as a parent, or oh, and this, like.
Well, look, it's second nature for us as parents to say,
you know what? Really look,
did I mess up? What did I do?
Well, why you don't have to tell them that though.
No,
you
you're
don't
right.
have to
You're
tell
right.
them that it's
You're right, but the parent always takes it harder on them.
Keep it to yourself, though.
No, it's hard to keep it to yourself because a parent feels, man, did I mess up here? What did I do wrong? Why didn't my parents were always the same way. Man, what did we do wrong for you to be the way you are? What did we do wrong? It's nothing. It was just my choices in life that I did that got me in trouble. Any other questions?
So Monica
okay.
is saying we gotta create a support group for the youth as well, kids and teens that can relate to each other.
I like that.
What do you think about that, Laila?
What do you think?
Well, I need to find teens on you.
There's a lot of teens that have mom and dads in prison.
Yeah, you open.
Yeah, and you know what? We just talked about. What did I tell you today? Hey, maybe that'll be a podcast for you that you can interview. You can interview youth that their parents were in prison or are in prison. That way they can just pour out what they got to say. We talked about it today.
Because did you ever feel like?
Thank you, Monica. That was a great idea.
What you were going through?
I think yes and no, and especially like when your family's in the ministry, it's a lot different from people who have somebody in jail when they're not in the ministry.
Okay.
It's like you go about it a different way, and I felt like because I'm in the ministry, I wasn't able to find as many like kids who were in the ministry and dealing with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the kids who didn't have people in ministry,
right.
and that was not. Usually, it's not.
That's not a good outcome. Yeah, good outcome
with the right things.
No, but it is something there, Mija, that there's a lot of kids that are out there that their parents are, they're in prison. They need, they need to talk to somebody. They need to release what they have and questions. And you going through that, having your dad in prison and what you've gone through and what you felt and the things that were taken from you and stripped from you, you're able to help other teens that are going through the same thing. A lot of them commit suicide. A lot of them go to drugs. A lot of girls get pregnant thinking that I need love. I'm looking for attention. And, they destroy themselves, in the drugs and out there. So I think it's something that you can help them. You know what I mean?
So Sonia says, I just want to comment. My husband says those words all the time. I will come home. This isn't forever. And
it's true.
Yeah.
One day, Sonia, those doors are going to open and your hubby's coming home. I used to say that all the time. Hey, one day those doors are going to open. One day, I would even tell the warden, hey, Those doors are going to open one day, and I'm going to walk through them. There's nothing you can do about it. I always used to say that, joking, but let me tell you how God is. I had a 10-year sentence, 9 and something months, 10-year sentence on the feds, and I had 3.5 years to do in the state. I came home early, 4 years earlier, almost 5.
Which is unheard of.
That's unheard of. And my state time, my 3.5 years in the state were squashed. They sent me a letter. They said, hey, since you're doing time in prison there in the feds, we're going to run it concurrent. You're done. You got 1 year probation. So, man, tell me, come on. Tell me God's not in the deal. Tell me there is no God. Now you know why I'm gun-holed about God. Now you know why I'm pedal to the metal with him. I'm ride or die with God because I've seen what he's done. I've seen him personally in my life, what he's done in my life. And I know what he's done in my life, he can do in your life. I know that he can take me from being a heroin addict and clean me. He can do the same thing for you. I know that if you have a loved one in prison, those doors will open and they'll come out. And they'll come out to be better people, better persons, better jobs. Better, I've seen it. So for me not to be gun-holed about God or be all in with God, it's impossible. I have to be the way I am, and I want to help other people because I've seen what God can do, and I've seen it personally in my life, in my kids' life, in my wife's life. I've seen it. So there it is, So, if you have a loved one, don't forget them. Don't forget them. Let them know that you're waiting for them and be there for them. What other questions?
So Monica says Maddie says she agrees with Monica and she needed that when she was younger. I was 31 when my dad got out, but I was 1 when he went in.
Oh, wow.
So that's a...
Yeah, so, man, Monica, is that the gentleman that I met at your house the other day?
That's Madi.
Madi, okay, so Madi's dad. I think I met your dad. Was that the man I met at your house? No, I met her stepdad. Okay. Yeah, and the thing is so much time passes, it's hard for that relationship. And what's crazy is that even guys like us, we long to have a relationship with our dad, even, and I can imagine being a girl or being a woman, not having that relationship with your dad and missing out all those years with your dad. I can just imagine. Us guys, we always look for approval for our dad, and we want to be close to our dad, and we just want our dads, me being in prison and my dad passed away when I was in prison. It was just something that it was just this emptiness that coming home and opening that door at my dad's house and looking to the right and seeing him sit there in that recliner that always bring joy to me because I'd see him in a recliner and he would always look at me, ¿Qué pasó, Chamboga? He used to call me Chamboga. And that, to walk in and not see him and you see that recliner, just no one in it. A matter of fact, I have that chair that he used to sit. I have it at home. So I'm not getting rid of that chair. So anyway, so it is something that you're always going to look for that love of your dad. And this is why it's so important. It's crucial that you have that relationship with God, because I remember telling God, man, I was coming home and I was like, man, I'm coming home to nothing. And not knowing that, I was not really thinking about it, that I had my wife and I had my kids. But it was like, man, I'm coming home and my dad's not going to be there. It was just so hard on me that, man, and you can't vent, you can't mourn for somebody, you can't cry in prison for your loved ones. And it was so hard for me. But I remember hearing God, I said, yeah, your dad's not home. Your dad's not there, but I'm your dad now. I'm your father now. I remember hearing that. I'm your father now. I'm your dad. So I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful. I know my physical father, my earthly father's not here, but when I have something that I have to go to God, I have to go to my father, I go to him and say, hey, I need your help. Normally when I would go through things, I would go to my dad. Hey, Dad, look, this is what's happening. What do you advise? My dad was always there to advise me. He's not there anymore, but I know who can advise me now. I go straight to him and ask for his advice. Any other
So
questions?
I want to get both of y'all's point of view on this. I'm going to start with Layla, but it says, what would you say to young people that are taking their first steps to a criminal path? What would you say to maybe like a young father or a young mother that has kids, young kids, and they're currently like they're doing something illegal. They're doing something that they could possibly go to jail for. What would you tell them?
Wait, so it's the kid or the young dad?
The young parent. A parent, basically.
So let's just say that you're young, right? And you have a baby. And you're not living a good life, and you're teeter-tottering into the side of where you can get in trouble and go to prison. What would you say to them?
What would you need to hear?
What would you? Sorry, guys. If you're teeter-tottering into
Turn the sound off.
yeah, there you go. I mean, what would you say? I mean, not to do it.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. Jesus.
Does he not know that we're live? Or?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I'm gonna help Layla with this question. If you're a young parent and you're hanging around with the bad people, or you're hanging out with a company that you shouldn't be hanging out, there's a lot of things that could happen. One is that you can really seriously get hurt or go to prison. And, going to prison, you're going to not only destroy yourself, but you're going to destroy your family. So if you're young and you're in that area there, really think about what you're doing. Really think about what you're doing, because I've seen young guys that are just 18 years old in prison, and they have 2 or 3 kids at home, and then they have their wife at home, and all they do is cry about their time. And some of these guys get a 10 or a 15-year bid, and it's too late. It's too late. You should have thought of that before. Think about what you're doing now, so it won't affect you or your kids and your family. Because prison is no fun, bro, and it ain't no joke. Okay, it ain't no joke. When you go to prison, it's no joke. So, any other questions?
Well, I'm gonna go off the same question, but it says, what would you say to young people who are taking their first steps to a criminal path? I think it's easier to answer.
Okay, go ahead.
I would just say, I don't know. I mean, this sounds bad, but don't be selfish. Like, what you do affects other people, Like,
that's good.
They say not to tell someone not to be selfish, but don't be selfish. Like, it doesn't just affect you, it affects everyone around you. Like, if you're a parent, like, going through that with their kid in jail or something, or if you're the kid with your parent who wants to be doing drugs or whatever, like, you're gonna raise that kid into a world without a parent, and then they're gonna go out looking for help or something. Yeah, I don't know. It's just selfish.
No, it makes sense. I don't know if that helps anybody out there, but don't be selfish, because your decisions affect everyone else. So that was good. Any other questions?
No. Closing thoughts.
Thursday nights, we're here on Thursdays. If you want to be part of our group, our prison group, we call it prison group, but it's a Bible study, and we just share here. There's the address right there. We're on Thursday nights, and we'd love to have you. For some reason, if you're a woman and you have your husband in prison, you want to be part of it. We try to encourage the women to have their inmates, their loved ones in prison that are coming out, to be part of this group. This way, when your loved one comes out and you're connected to this group, they get connected.
Yeah.
You don't want them to come out and then you're going to be looking for a church, or you're going to be looking for somewhere to connect them. You want to be connected so that when they come out, they're connected with you, and they'll start coming to the Bible studies. And it's not just ours. If you find yourself a good church that has a good system in there, and it's a good church, and it's something that you can connect, and you have, look, one thing that you have to look at is if you're going to a church that doesn't have any ex-felons, drug addicts, and prison ink, chances are when they come out, they're not going to fit in. You want to be in a group that your loved one is going to fit in. So
and let's just say that we're too far or whatever the case may be, you don't have transportation, let us know. We will refer you to a church.
We'll send you some place. And if your inmate is looking for a men's home, we have a men's home. And we work with several other men's homes that we'll send your loved one. If he needs a halfway house or a program, we'll send him. We know 3 other good ones that are very, very, very good. And we'll refer them there. Pastor Bobby?
Also, February 5th.
February 5th? Like our little spokesperson.
First service.
Yes.
What does Pastor Bobby say there?
He's saying, good job, guys. Appreciate your concern for the hurts of others and blessings.
Oh, blessings.
So
thank you, Pastor. Those are our pastors, Pastor Robert Pena and Ronnie Pena. Those are our pastors.
So Laila was giving us a little plug there.
Oh, there. Okay, so February the 5th, right? February 5th, we're starting a Sunday service at 2:00. 2:00. And Pastor Bobby and Sister Ronnie, they'll be here and they'll be praying for our service, our very, very first service. They'll be here.
We're excited.
We're excited.
You can tell, we're all excited.
I'm excited. It's just something that long time in the making, long time it was coming.
Yeah.
It's just something that
A lot of bumps in the road.
a lot of bumps in the road. Laila, you said that, Laila.
Oh my God.
Laila. Okay, Laila. She's no filter. A lot of bumps in the road. There was a lot of bumps in the road getting to this point. But you know what? God is faithful. God is faithful, and He sees you through. And the coolest thing about God is He gives you this crazy peace when you're going through all the storm and everything. And He just, man, if you trust Him, it's just like, I always say, it's like you ever seen a duck's back when you put water on it? How the water just falls off the duck's back, right? God gives you that type of skin where no matter what hits you, it just rolls off of you. He gives you this crazy peace. But you have to be able to trust in Him. You got to be able to trust in Him so that way He can direct your path.
Yes. Also,
go ahead.
So, speaking of trust in Him, like, how do I say this?
I don't know. Just like, come on.
Don't doubt God, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, no, but she's my friend. Ooh, whatever. No, but she's my friend. She wouldn't do that. She's not like that. No, I need to hold on to her. He's going to get whoever does not need to be in your life out. Like, don't try holding on. Do not try holding on to them. They don't.
Oh my God. We got a preacher right here. Oh my God. So
He will take out whoever is not for you, who does not need to be there.
Oh my God. It's true. My daughter is talking out of her heart. We've had things, people that try to slow our process, slow the progress, get in the way, talk about us. But she speaks out of her heart. You know what I mean? If just let those people go, man.
Yeah.
Those people that are in your way, just move on, baby. Just move on. Just it's not worth it. Don't argue. Don't fight. Don't, you know what I mean? Don't let it
play out.
There you go. Let it play out. Don't lose sleep over somebody saying something or trying to hurt you.
Yeah.
Don't lose sleep, man. Just
don't entertain it either.
Don't entertain it. Just leave it alone. Just move forward.
Just give her the mic.
Give me 5. Give me 5. Just, you know what I mean? Just let God do His thing, man.
They're only doing that because they're hurt.
Yeah, and whatever God's going to do in your life, He's going to put you where you need to be.
Yeah.
And the people that don't belong in your life, they're gone.
Amen.
God will move. Look, God will move people that don't belong or that are not going where you're going.
Yeah.
Trust me. If you're going in one way, one direction, and you're moving forward, and they don't belong, and they're holding you back, they're just literally holding you back. God will move them because he has something different for you. Doesn't mean that you're going to be upset with them. You're going to be, y'all not going to get along and talk. God will move those people because they're not for you. And that's what my daughter's trying to tell you. Just don't entertain it. Just let it go. My daughter's seen so much of this stuff. And the thing is she's speaking out of her heart, and it's true. Just let God do what he needs to do. We never thought that we'd have a podcast. We never thought we'd have a Bible study. We never thought we'd have our own place to do it, our own little building. We never thought we would have start something on Sundays at 2:00. It wasn't because we just never thought of it. But God always uses people, places, and situations to take you where he needs to take you. And let me just tell you, if it wasn't for those things in my life or in our life, God wouldn't put us where we need to be. And I believe that we're where we're at right now because God let those things happen. But when those things are happening in your life, God gives you this crazy peace. And you're like, hey, man, whatever. Do whatever. Say whatever.
And also, if like your plan and what you're doing, if it fails somewhere, that doesn't mean it's like over. That doesn't mean to stop trying to help somewhere. It's just in that location or around those people. Just don't try holding on to it,
Don't give up.
I like that. Yeah.
Just because it fails somewhere doesn't mean it will fail somewhere else.
Okay.
Point A.
Yeah, that's right. If God's called you, just because it's not working for you there, doesn't mean that you're meant to be planted there. Right? It means that God wants to take you somewhere else, outside of your comfort zone, somewhere else to do something for you. But you got to be able to listen to God's voice.
Yes, I just posted the scripture.
And feel, hey, God, is this what you want? I don't want to do anything without you. Always be like Moses. Hey, I'm not going anywhere, and I'm not going to do anything unless I know you're in it. And if you're in it, show me you're in it before I move forward. And I think we should always have that attitude as says, hey, I'm not going to do anything in my strength and my will unless you're doing it. And open the doors. Show me the opportunities. You go first. Yes, I'll move first, but I need you to be there. And the crazy thing is that when you move out in faith, God starts doing all these crazy things. He starts opening these doors, and then you're like, wow, all right, this is you. So thank you.
So we'll leave you with that. Scripture, Matthew 6:33. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. So if you feel like you're up against something, up against people, things are getting difficult, you just don't see how they're going to get any better. And this can be especially when you have a loved one in prison. You don't see that things are going to get better. Things look like they're dark and they're hard, but just seek God. Look to him, ask him, Lord, what do you want me to do? How can I get through this? How do you want me to survive? And he's going to give it to you. He's going to give you everything. When we look to God to be over everything in our lives, he's going to put everything in place. I when my husband left, I never thought that I was going to have to be a single parent. Again, I say again because I have an older child. I remember saying I'll never be a single parent again. And, life has a way of throwing things at us that we weren't expecting. But the difference this time around is that I knew God had him in my life, and I seeked him. So for the things that I didn't understand and didn't know how to do, he was always there to help, to lift me up, to show me what he wanted for me, for my husband, for our family. And it's so important to have that, because without it, we're in darkness and we really don't know what we're doing. And this life can be confusing and difficult to get through. So
that's it.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to seeing you February 5th.
Oh,
5th. All right. Love you guys. Thank you for being on. Hey, thank you for all the questions.
Yeah, this is the longest podcast we've ever had.
Yeah, this is the longest one.
So if you join us next week, our podcast is about an hour.
About an hour. How long are we on this one?
1:43.
Wow.
But we appreciate y'all. We appreciate all your comments, all your questions.
share the video.
You talk too much.
Do not.
All
Share
right,
the
guys.
video. We're here. If there's anybody out there that has any questions, please feel free to DM, message our house ministry page, message our personal page. We're going to be here to help y'all out.
Love you guys. Love you.
Bye.
Appreciate y'all. Bye, guys. Good night.